Hi there, welcome to Coffee Tea with me. And I am your host, as you well know. I'm so glad to be with you again during our time. Please feel free to utilize the email that I'm going to give you for conversations, questions, maybe even just a testimony. I want to hear your story. I'm really eager to hear where you come from and what God is doing in your life. So please respond when you can. And that would be through the email address, and it's Rick's Study, RICKSSTUDY, number one, at gmail.com. That's rickstudy1 at gmail.com. And I want us to use that as our platform to be able to communicate. And there are things I might want to say or ask or even answer your question, perhaps. That will be through that particular mode at this point. So please utilize that. We've been talking a bit about under the actually title of developing and maintaining our spiritual lives on purpose. And I think and I've said this even before, I think what's important for me to kind of grasp is that we do spend a lot of time and money on getting our bodies in fit. Fit. We go to the gym and we work out. We run. We jog. We climb. Climb walls, rocks, whatever we do. But we do all these things to keep our physical bodies in shape, and that actually is a good thing. But there's a better thing that we should be paying attention to. And that is in the area of our spiritual lives, because our spiritual lives are really the precondition as to where and how we spend eternity. Eternity is a whole heck of a lot longer by way of time than our lives here. In fact, eternal means there's no ending. And God was interested in where we spend eternity, because after all, he came through the person and the embodiment of Jesus Christ. And he did all that he did so that we could have not only a healthy spiritual life, but that we could also have a promise that has been given by him that we can live eternally with him. And so I think it's important for us to consider pouring into our spiritual lives. And we talked a little bit about Revelation chapter 3, they're hot or cold rather than lukewarm. We've talked a little bit about 1 Corinthians 16, Ephesians 6, 10, and then Psalms 27:14. So we talked a little bit about those particular texts, but I want to take just a little bit of a different approach, and probably the approach I want to take is this, under this premise, and that is that when we journey in the Lord, when we are walking and living out our faith in Him, and when we are looking to build that relationship with Him, we need to realize that He literally uses everything that touches our life to be a life lesson. That's why it's so important for us to have the disposition to be teachable. And just because we've heard something before doesn't necessarily mean we've got it, especially to its fullest and nth degree. And this is why I'm going to kind of just share a little bit of something that kind of just happened, and it's still a little tender, at least in my heart. And that is, we've had this English cream retriever, and his name is Tucker. We had Tucker since he was 6 weeks old. We got him from a wonderful breeder who breeds English creams as well as Goldens and that sort of thing. And so we got him, we brought him home, 6 weeks. Beautiful, wonderful, wonderful dog, great personality. And of course, we named him Tucker. Tucker grew up and he grew close. I don't mind telling you that he really became probably a very close friend, if you will, four-legged son, as I've referred to him on my Facebook page. And just really just recently, we just started seeing him struggling with some things. He's 12 and a half years. And he developed a thing called pancreatitis. And the first bout was really difficult. We thought we were going to lose him, but we were able to bring him back. He stayed a few nights at the hospital, dog and cat hospital, in order to have certain medications as well as IV put into his system. And he came back and he recovered fairly well. And then it came back in a vengeance. Only this time, it was just tough. His everything started hurting him, and he was really slowed down. He started losing weight. We couldn't keep him eating, and all of that to say this: that he has touched my life in such a way that I grieve like as though I lost one of my sons or one of our grandkids. And I grieved in such a way that that was kind of confusing, because it was way deeper than I really expected. I just, I knew that I would struggle with having to to put him in sleep, and I really battled. I battled and I battled. I kept thinking I could do more, and of course I prayed. He was a gift to my wife and I and family and our kids and grandkids and all those who met him. He was a very special pup, Tucker, he was. So he kept getting sicker, and I knew that there would be a time that I'd have to make that decision, and I finally came and made that decision, and I'm still very, very tender about it. Once I took him over to his doctors, and just as they were coming in, I was on the floor with him and talking with him, and he was watching me and looking at me, and they gave him a sedative and relaxed him and that sort of thing. And then finally he passed. And I was hurt. I'm hurt now even. But I will say to you that as the days have been unfolding, and while there's this lump in my stomach and not my stomach and lump in my throat, even now, because there's so much in our house that remind me of him, I began to start, asking the Lord, how is it that I'm so affected? I realized he wasn't just a friend. He wasn't just my buddy, my sidekick, the one I looked forward to coming home from vacation, just to be with him, to play with him, and to do the things that we do as dog owner and pup and dog. and I just struggled. And then I was reminded that in my opening statement that I just gave you, everything, it's not so much as it happens for a reason, but there are teachable things in everything that comes across, that touches our life, comes across our path. And if we are walking in relationship with our Father, he uses everything to teach us. Now, this is not some new age thing. This is actually very far from new age. It has everything to do with how we walk, what we learn, how we grow, and how we're stretched. How do we navigate through, the pains, in this case, the pain of loss? How do we raise from that ash heap of how life on fallen sinful human nature deals us? And I started really thinking about what were some of the things that Tucker taught me. And I'm not going to take very long on all of this. There's just so much to share, and I might pick it up in the next episode. Here's what I've learned. I learned that Tucker had an unconditional love. It didn't matter how he felt. He pressed forward and pressed in to keep me happy. He was in pain and hurting. I could see it in various ways, but he pushed himself to be close to me, to walk with me, to allow me to do things to help him. But yet he was just very, 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 I don't know how to say this. He was very, I don't know how to say it. It just, he was so loving, and his love was so unconditional, even to the point where it would cost him, even in his days, up to the point to where I could not let him suffer, and I could not demand of him to not fake it, but to push himself to the point of even more pain. That was one of the things, his unconditional love. He showed me what unconditional love is. And then he showed me another thing called loyalty. And loyalty is not just a mindful thing, but it's an action thing. Loyal is he stayed with me. He when I called him back, he would be obedient and quick to obedience. He was loyal to the sounds that I would make to get him to turn around and come back when he would stray a little bit too far. Loyal in that that no matter where I left him, when I came back, he was there. He was ready. He was greeting me with the same unconditional love, but his loyalty did not wane. And he looked forward to coming home and being with us. And there's so many other things and characteristics about Tuck that I could relate, of which we're kind of running out of time. But what I want to pass on to you is this, is that every lesson, whether it be supernatural, whether it be natural, in this case, whether it be through my pup, Tucker, every lesson is to help me and to teach me and to reveal to me how God feels about me. You see, his love for me, his love for you is unconditional. He already knows we're going to screw up. He already knows that we're weak in the flesh. He already knows that there'll be times we'll be mad with him. He knows all of that. But his love was never the sacrifice. That would be meaning it would not be withdrawn. So his love was unconditional. There's another thing that I just shared with you, that a word loyal. You know what? His loyal and his unconditional love work hand in hand. He's loyal to the point, all the way to the point to where whatever decision you make, because you are who you are, that you're giving free will, and you have a sovereignty about you, which I just learned just recently, that your sovereign thing is, if we surrender it to him, that we're able to see his unconditional love and his loyalty, not as excuses, but as a reason to change, as a reason to walk closer to him, as a reason to seek him, seek his face more so than his hands. And so I'm going to let it go from that point, because we're well into our time here. But I want to pray with you, and I want to ask that the Lord would minister to you in that way, that you could see the unconditional love that he has for you, that you could come to that realization that he is loyal right up to the end of your life. And if you decide you don't want anything to do, he will still love you, and he's still loyal. But once that happens and you pass and you've denied him, then you don't live with him. That's not because he didn't want that. It's because we didn't want that, you see. So I want to encourage you really to stop and pause and ask God to show you the things that he wants to even teach you. Maybe it's through your pet, through your husband, your wife, or your kids, your grandkids, or work, or church, or wherever, or someone and whoever crosses your path, that there's a lesson for you, and he reveals himself little in so many little ways that once we start seeing them, then we see him more in bigger ways. I love you and I thank you. Let me pray. Could I? Father, I just pray for every person that would take the time to even listen to this. And I pray that they would see you in the light of who you are, that their hearts and minds would be teachable, that they will never be so settled and locked in their ways that they would actually miss you. Because if that were the case for me, I would have never seen you through even the gift that you gave me through Tucker. Father, I thank you for Tucker, and I thank you for the lessons and the things that he has shown me, revealed to me, not just in him and his personality, but in who you are. I love you, and I thank you so much. Bless each one until we meet again, Lord. Amen and amen. Hey, God bless you. We'll see you again soon.